Okay, so we talked about this power thing. Now comes change and leadership. One of the, how to say, roles of the leaders and the leadership is to bring about the change. Listen, uh, organizations are changing, business environment is changing. Because of the changing business environment or because of the changing market expectations, changing consumer expectations, organizations, they need to change as well. You cannot remain the same, and it is one of the duties of leaders to bring about the change. Now change management is a separate lecture, separate chapter. We will discuss it, how changes are brought. Sometimes it is a gradual change, or you do step by step, you do parallel, you start from a clean slate. But one thing which we need to understand, that leadership is about to bring the change. If leaders do not bring change, then they are not doing anything. And change should be brought about happily while taking everybody on board. People should understand that why change is needed, because change will be resisted within the organization. Because whenever you talk about change, so it means that things are going to change for some people in better way, for some people in not better way. So people would resist. People need to learn. For example, if I say that a very small thing I speak about, that I want to change the ERP system, I know that my accountants, many of them will start resisting, because they have learned that ERP system, they are happy with that, and they know that if something new will come, probably their workload will will change. They have to learn, they have to get trained, so they resist. So change is always there. So how leaders, they manage the change, how leaders, they handle the change, how leaders, they implement the change, it is one important part of their role. I mean, this is one of the roles of leadership, to understand the change in the external environment, and then to bring the change in the internal environment. You have charismatic and transaction leadership. So these are two very generalized types of leaders. I mean, there are not only two, and that's why I say a very general definition. So Johnson in 2017 note that leadership styles may be fitted into a general model of leadership that recognizes two general types. So these are two general types, okay? Very broad categories. In detail, there are many. But if you talk about broad categories, number one is transactional leader. Transactional leaders, they focus on systems and controls and generally seek improvement rather than change. So they are, managing, and I would call them actually managers. If you ask me, transactional leaders, they look more like managers. The difference between manager and leader is that leader, they make the system, and managers, they run the system. Similarly, transactional leaders, they improve the existing things. They make sure that existing systems are working, existing goals, objectives, targets are met, whatever. Whereas charismatic leaders, they energize people and build a vision of the future. Change management is a natural part of what they do. This approach is also known as transformational leaders. By the way, I just going away a little bit to speak about, when you say leader, many people, they immediately think like, someone who is well known everywhere, or maybe some a very super, supernatural figure, maybe a political leader. It's not about doing leadership at a very large level. Even if you can manage three people very well, you are still a leader. So there is no definition that a leader should have 1 million followers, or a leader should be, supervising or managing 25,000 people. It is not necessary. Even if you can change, because who is a leader? A leader is someone who could influence others to change their way of doing towards the collective achievement of a goal. There is a common goal, and I collect these three people and I motivate them, I inspire them, and together we achieve something. I'm a leader. So leader does not have to be a person like only in, Microsoft or only in Nestle. So first you understand this thing, that leadership is reflected at a very lower level as well. At a very lower level as well. Uh, One thing. Secondly, you have two types of leaders. You call them, I mean, it is not like a book thing. I'm just telling you for a general understanding. You have political leaders, you have religious leaders, and we have business leaders. Okay, business leaders are most important. They have become in today's world. Political leaders have not become so much important because political leaders are leading one nation. You are from different countries. I'm from different country. You have got your own political leaders. I've got my political leaders. You do not know the names of my political leaders. I do not name the names of no, names of your political leaders. So political leaders are leading the nations. Religious leaders, they are leading the people from a certain religion. But business leaders, they have global impact. Okay, they have global impact. If you think like companies, they work across all the religions and they work across all the nations. So when you talk about corporate leaders or the business leaders, their impact is much more, and they are impacting across nations, across religions, across countries. Anyways, this was, and then you have transactional leaders and charismatic leaders. So that's a little bit out of that. Now, leadership styles which we have. This is autocratic. Autocratic, it says do X. Okay. So he just gives a task, three people go and do the job. You call him autocratic leader. Second is laissez faire. Laissez faire is do X or Y as you see fit. So he's giving do X or Y as you see fit. Democratic is asking which is best, X or Y. So these are three different leadership styles in general. Like before, I said like charismatic. And so there is one definition, one perspective of seeing leadership as transactional leader or charismatic leader. So I'm showing you this thing from this side, then I convert it from another side. So another perspective of seeing leadership style is autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. Change management styles we have, because we said that listen, these all things are integrated. You have every organization has a mission. Let me write down from here. We started that every organization has a mission, and to achieve that mission there is some objective. And who is going to achieve the objective? Objectives will be achieved by the leaders. These are the people who are going to achieve it. And then what leaders they do? So leaders, they make the culture. Leaders, they are talking about change. Leader, they are talking about strategy. So these are all things which are related to one mission. If culture is not fit well, then your strategy will fail. For example, in your mission, you talk about your mission statement, say that we produce high quality innovative products, and your business culture is that go for the low cost saving is the business culture. So if within your business culture you are all the debates, whenever you are thinking in meetings and board meetings and you are thinking about ideas how to save cost, then ultimately all of the organization together is thinking about cost saving. How do you think that you achieve high quality? Your mission statement will not go in line. So whatever you have your mission statement, leaders, they have to devise culture accordingly. So in your board meetings, you are not talking about cost savings, you are talking about innovation. And when you, in your mission statement, it says that you believe in innovation and you believe in bringing new products or new services, but then your change management approach is not there. Leaders are conservative in their approach. Culture is conservative. You are not even updating your systems. So how can you become innovative company while being no change manager? So all of these things are ultimately related. So I said that change management styles. Now leaders, they have to understand that change is something which is essential. It is part of the strategy, because every strategy brings change and that change must be managed. So education and communication, explain in detail why change is necessary to win people round. So you need to convince people, just like I say, inspire people, convince people through education and communication. collaboration and participation, bringing people affected by change into the process of managing it. Process of managing it means that you are empowering people, you are giving them the ownership of the change. So you ask them to become or to participate in the process of the change. So collaboration you do, and collaboration is very important to put them or take them on board. Intervention. Change is led by a change agent who will delegate some tasks to project teams. So change agent is actually a very how to say popular term. Change agent is any person, an individual who is the owner or the proposer of change, we actually also call them turnaround agents. If you would Google it, there are some managers. Now, okay, I'm again uh, going away from here, but it will be interesting for you to listen. Listen, I always said, okay, listen to me carefully, it will help you to understand. I always think like a business as a human body. Okay. When you say that somebody gets sick and then they die, and you ask what happened, oh, he got some heart stroke, heart failure, heart attack, and he died. So maybe heart stopped functioning, but brain was working, lungs were working, kidneys were working. Only one part of the body stopped functioning and the person died. So it means that to become sick or die, it is not that all of the body objects or organs will stop functioning. No, it will not happen. The problem appears with one organ, and that one organ, if it is not properly treated, that problem will become bigger and bigger and bigger, and ultimately the person dies. Similarly, within the organization, when you see some organizations which are struggling, which are making losses, which are in trouble, it does not mean that all of the people, all of the processes, all of the products have failed. It does not mean that. Maybe some people, some products, some processes have failed. And you need to identify which are those peoples and processes so that you can find out. Just like when you get sick, what do? You go to a doctor and you do a test, and through the test, maybe you do your MR, you do CT scan, you do blood test, you do cardiac some tests to identify where is the problem, and then that problem is resolved and the individual becomes healthy. Similarly, the manager, it is his job to understand that where in the business is the problem, identify the problem, and then correct that problem, and the business will become healthy. Okay, so for an individual, for a business, for an individual who will do this job, you call it the doctor will do the job. For a business who will do the job, the manager has to do the job. And sometimes there are, and these managers who can run the business, some doctors, if you get very sick, you go to a specialist. When you have little problems, your internal, maybe you do self medication, maybe a general physician will give you some tablet, but when you see that the problem is becoming or going out of control, you go to some specialist, and sometimes you go to some other country for treatment. Similarly, when the business starts getting into trouble, your internal managers, they start trying to correct it, but then the shareholders, they see that the existing managers are not capable of correcting it. So in this case, you have to take the help from outsiders. What outsiders? Maybe a consulting company will come in and they will tell you what are the issues in your processes. Maybe you have a wrong pricing, maybe you have a wrong promotion, maybe you have a wrong product, maybe you have wrong processes. Where are your costs, where are your revenues, what are your market focus? So they do a lot of research and they tell you the function. And these consultant, now I'm coming to the point, the word change agent. I use the word here, change agent. Now, change agent is a specialist. Change agent is a specialist. It's like a consultant, which is also called turnaround agent. It is called turn around agent. So what is their job? The turnaround agents, their job is to turn around some sick businesses. If you see a business which is making huge losses, and you know that a lot of things must be changed, a lot of things must be changed, then what you do, you invite a change agent into your business. And that change agent is like a super doctor who will see the business, and he will tell you that, okay, you have to close these branches, you have to stop this product, you have to fire these people, you have to change these processes, you have to do the restructuring of the business, probably with a different focus. Maybe you have to do divestment. So they create a strategy. So change agents, these are the people whose help is taken by suffering businesses. I give you an example of a change agent whom I first time I heard the name. Later on, this person was involved in some criminal offenses. That's a different story. But a very popular change agent from 1990s. His name was Albert J. Dunlop. Albert J. Dunlop, you can Google him, you can find him. A very popular change agent in the world, global change agent. Many companies who were making hundreds and millions of dollars of losses, and they knew that they are going to get closed in some time, they invite Albert J. Dunlop, and Albert rescued them. Albert rescued them because he was a very rude, very crude, and very cruel business manager. He wouldn't care for people, wouldn't care for anything, very rational, no emotions into the business. And the name of his book is Mean Business. If you ever have an opportunity, the name itself, it says Mean Business. So this is the biography of Albert J. Dunlop. I read it in 1992. A very interesting book. Later on, he got, he did some unethical practices. So he got some criminal offenses, and that's another story, but that happened in 2003. After 2003, this person is not doing any businesses. So change agents, they help businesses to accept and implement change at a very massive level. And the idea is that involvement of those teams will lead to greater commitment from them. Direction, management use their authority to establish their strategy and how change will occur in a top-down fashion. So change will start from the top. Then you have the word entrepreneurship. We know entrepreneurship is it is a process of identifying the opportunities and exploiting the opportunities to get some commercial benefit. Sometimes you have said you use this word that someone is very business minded. My friend or my brother, my sister, whoever is very business minded. When you use the word business minded, it is actually entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship means identifying the opportunities and using them in your favor. And then there's a word called intrapreneurship. Intrapreneurship means when you identified the opportunities not outside the organization, but inside the organization. So in intrapreneurship, we find out the opportunities from within the organization, and then you apply it. And there is a word called social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship means that, again, looking for opportunities, but not for your own personal benefit, but for the benefit of the society. Now, why do we have this word here, entrepreneurship? Actually, entrepreneurship is one important characteristic of a leader. You cannot have a leader who does not have entrepreneurship. It is not possible, because the leader should be someone, a business leader I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a political leader or a religious leader. A business leader should be able to explore, identify, explore and exploit the opportunities in the best interest of the business. Explore and exploit. Entrepreneurship. If a business leader does not have entrepreneurship, it doesn't work. So business leaders, they should have entrepreneurship. Then we talk about strategy. Any question until here, please?